This is your one and only FireSpark81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and welcome back to another Age of Wonders 4 video. I got another absolutely insane race build for you today, and we're going to take a look at it. Let's get to it. Do you want to send the enemy running in a panic, have over a 70% chance to crit, and do over 100% increased damage with your units? Then this is the build for you. So in my last race build video, many of you stated that you kind of like the theme builds. So this one's themed around goblins, but you can honestly use any race you want to use. Once you've selected your physical form, you're going to go to the body trait and you are going to select keen-sighted. This gives us 20% increase in accuracy. Then you're going to go to the mind trait and you are going to select tenacious. This makes it so that as your units take damage, they don't suffer as bad of damage penalties. From there, we are going to select the barbarians, and then you're going to select the ruthless raiders and the runesmiths. We're going to have a bunch of enchants on our units because that's what this build is focused around. So we're going to need this in order to help us reduce our overall enchantment upkeep cost. Once you've selected those, your first tome that you're going to pick up is Tome of the Horde. We really only want this for two things, and that is the Houndmaster. This is an absolute fantastic unit, especially very early on, because it's 2 units in 1. Every time these guys enter combat, they summon in a fresh set of dogs. And then we also want the Spawnkin, which increases our damage by 20% and also increases our number of units in our formations. And since we selected tenacious, that means that it's going to be even harder for the enemy to reduce our damage based on the amount of units that we have, because we're going to have increased units and take less damage penalties as those units die off. We also get the Battle Seeker training for our hero units, which allow our heroes to increase the damage of units that are in their army by 20%. So once we activate the Spawnkin race transformation and we have the Battle Seeker training, that is a 40% increase in damage for the units that are in our hero's army. Now let's take a look at rest of the tomes that we are going to pick up for this build. So after you have completed the Tome of the Horde and you get your next tome option, you want to pick up Tome of Enchantment. This is going to give us the Sundering Blades, which is going to give us a 90% chance to inflict Sunder defense on enemy units, which is going to sunder their damage resistance. This also gives us the Awakened Tools City Enchantment, which is a sustained city enchantment spell, which increases our production and our draft by 20 and reduces our city's stability by 10. This is super handy to get a bunch of units out quickly. Once we hit tier 2, this is where the build really starts to kick in, and the first tome you want to pick up is Tome of the Doom Herald. This tome is absolutely insane, and I can't believe I overlooked it when I first started playing this game. First off, we get our next minor race transformation, which these are fantastic because they add really great bonuses and they don't cost us any type of upkeep. And the ones that I have combined for this build are insanely strong when they work together. And Tome of the Doom Herald gives us Joy Siphoners. Joy Siphoners is the basis for the design of this whole build, and that is all around morale, and Joy Siphoners steals 3 morale per hit. We also end up with Prelude of Doom, which is an enemy army targeting spell, so it allows us to target an enemy army before we jump into battle, which immediately reduces their morale by 10 before we even get into the fight. Once we get into the fight, we also have Cause Despair, which reduces their morale by an additional 15%, and that has a 90% chance of working, and it's in a 1 hex radius, so it gets a pretty good chunk of the enemy's army if they are close together. We also end up with Cruel Weaponry, which increases our unit's damage by targets that have low morale by an additional 30%. We also get the Summon Banshee, which is a unit that specializes in demoralizing the enemy army. You want to make sure you pick up everything in the Doom Herald tome. Our next tier 2 tome is going to be the Tome of Artificing. There's a few nice things in this, but we're really only after one thing, and that is the Artisan Armaments. That's going to increase our crit chance by 30%. We also get the Construct Bolt Repeaters, but that is a Siegecraft unit, which is going to quickly get replaced by a tome that we are going to pick up later that's going to have something much better. We also get the Iron Golems, which aren't bad, but they won't get any of our race transformation perks. They will, however, get our unit enchantment perks. Moving on to tier 3, the first tier 3 tome we are going to pick up is the Tome of Devastation. The main thing we are after in this tome is the Flame Burst weapons. This grants us a 20% increased chance to crit hit, as well as whenever we kill another unit, that unit explodes explodes, dealing 20 damage to everything that is adjacent to it. So everything in a 1 hex radius. This tome gives us a few other fun things as well. It gives us the War Breed unit, which is a crazy strong shock unit, which will have all of the abilities that we are adding to our units. And we also get the Unleash the Warhounds Siege project, which is absolutely fantastic because it summons 6 Warhounds when we go into battle when we are performing a siege. This is a very strong. These things are insane because they add basically cannon fodder for the enemies to attack while we can get behind them and hit them and demoralize them. We also get Construct Devastator Spheres, which is also a very strong siege project. Our next tier 3 tome is the Tome of Subjugation. This is going to give us Intimidation aura. This aura reduces any enemy's morale that is close to us by 5 per turn and has a 90% chance to work. It doesn't, however, work on tier 5 or hero units, but it works on everything else. We also get the Final Ultimatum spell, which allows us to mind control a unit permanently. It has a 90% chance to work. If it doesn't work, the unit just dies. The only downside is the enemy has to be routing for us to steal them, but this whole entire build specializes in routing enemies. So being able to steal your opponent's units is not very hard to do. We also unlock another unit, which is the Tyrant Knight unit. Super handy unit to have. This will be a race unit, so it will get all of our abilities. We also get the Subjugating Raid, which is actually a free siege project. It literally costs you nothing to use. You just need to have a siege slot for it, and it steals a population whenever you are raiding someone, which is super freaking handy if you need a quick boost in population. It also starts the enemy units off that are defending the base that you're trying to siege with -10 to their morale. Moving on to the tier 4 tomes. The first tome we're going to pick up in tier 4 is Tome of the Demon Gate. Most of the stuff in this tome is meh. We're only after one thing in this tome, and that is the Demonkin Major Race Transformation. This turns us into Demonkin, which allows us to have Desolate Walk, makes us immune to burning, gives us flying, and the important one, the one that we are really after here, is Frenzy. It increases our attack damage every time we land an attack. It gives us Strengthen, so it increases our attack damage by 10% for a total of 50% increase in attack damage, on top of all of the other attack damage bonuses we have. So at this point, the build's pretty much complete. You're insanely strong at this point in the game. So everything from here on is icing on the cake. So if you've managed to do something, get a trigger, because it's possible to get certain triggers that can increase your Materium affinity to 1, you only need 1 more. You will have 5 at this point. This will give you 6 and give you the ability to learn other tier 4 Materium tomes. But if you don't, that's okay. We can continue to go down the chaos tier of tomes here, and you will still be insanely strong. So we're going to continue to talk about those. If that's the case, the next tome you're going to pick up is the Tome of Chaos. Really, the only thing that's useful to us, I mean, it's all kind of useful, but the most useful one to us here is the Scion of Flame. It's another minor race transformation, and the only big thing that it's going to get us here is the Vengeful Flames, which is going to cause 2 damage to anybody who attacks our units, and it's going to give them a base 30% chance to inflict burning on our attackers. It also gives us Fiery Wake, which allows us to light random things on fire that we pass through, like bushes and stuff like that. We already have immune to burning, and it gives us an additional 4 to fire resistance. So not a huge jump in our abilities, but it's a nice little extra boost. The Gremlin Ambushers, however, is a pretty strong city spell. If you are sieging a city, you cast this on the city that you are sieging, and it summons up to 5 gremlins next to your units when the battle begins. We end with the Tome of the Chaos Lord, and that gives us a Demonic Onslaught, which all attacking units gain killing momentum, which allows them to regain 1 action point whenever they kill a unit, and they are also hastened, which increases their move speed. We do get a pretty cool buff for our hero with this tome, and that is Demonic Slaughter. It summons a random tier 1 fiend whenever this unit kills another unit, so we can just kill their units and replace them with tier 1 fiends. So let's talk about what happens here. So essentially, once we get all of these minor race transformations stacked along with our major race transformation, we end up maximizing our crit hit potential. We also maximize our bonus damage potential. We also absolutely destroy the enemy's morale. Not only do we have a bunch of enchantments, race transformations, and spells that reduce the enemy's morale, every time we crit hit the the enemy, they lose 5 morale. So if we hit them, we steal 3, and if it's a crit hit, we steal an additional 5, for a total of 8 morale per hit. If we are standing next to the units we are attacking at the beginning of combat, we can attack a total of 3 times. If all 3 of those end up being crit hits, which they have a very high chance of being crit hits, we end up reducing the enemy's morale by 24. Now, I do want to point out that our full crit hit potential does not kick in until we are at high morale. However, it's not very hard for our units to get to high morale. Now, our full damage potential, just like our crit hit potential, is also based around morale. We need to get the enemy to low morale in order to get our full damage potential. However, that's really easy to do, and in some cases, we can do that with just some siege and a debuff to the enemy army before we even get into battle. But once we do get into battle, we only need to reduce their morale by 20 to get them to low, and that's pretty easy to do. Also, every time we kill one of the enemy units, they lose morale. They do, however, gain morale when they take out one of our units, and in most cases, they're going to take out a couple of dogs right from the get-go, but that's the purpose of the dogs. They're there as cannon fodder. They also do a decent amount of damage on their own, but they won't get all of the traits that we have on our main race. In the end, we are left with an absolutely devastating army to fight against. Once you have the build complete, fights are over relatively fast, and it doesn't take very long for a majority of the enemy's army to end up in a routing state, allowing you to mind control a few if you wish, or just destroy them as they try to run away, which is my favorite thing to do. I dare say that this build would probably give my last build a run for its money. It is so incredibly strong. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully you found this video helpful and informational. If you did, consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other Age of Wonders 4 videos. And if you're looking for some more Age of Wonders content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.